It's presidential, the outcome evidential. We strive for higher mental. This time, no accidental. We shine because we special.
Welcome, Read, Remember, Repeaters. Shout outs to y'all. Today is a beautiful day, and we are kicking this show off, giving the shout outs to at Insomnia Talks. That's at Insomnia_Talks. This guy's name is Derek Williams, and he's pushing our culture forward with positivity and definitely teaching our youth. Check this clip out right here.
As a kid, do you feel like because you have a father that's an entrepreneur that works for himself, different businesses, do you feel the pressure of following in the same footsteps? Like, do you feel like if I don't do what my dad does, then he's going to be disappointed in me? Do you feel like that?
Actually, yeah.
You do? You feel like I'll be disappointed if you don't follow my footsteps? Why?
Yeah. Because actually, I want to be like you. I don't want to be working $5 an hour, $6 an hour.
You basically
9 to
just,
5.
you want to control the type of money that you make.
Yeah, I want to work for myself, not work for people.
I mean, that's what I teach you. Just the freedom and the space of being able to be on your own time. Although you still working, is nothing no.
Hey man, shout outs to I Am Mastery Academy. That's the academy that's teaching people how to learn and earn on the go, teaching people how to invest and be on the right side of money. Shout outs to Doc Spills and all the educators over there that's teaching people, whether it's levels, colors, harmonics. We're simply teaching people how to learn and invest, and you can just match your colors. That's what we learned from day one. So get with me. That's at Read, Remember, Repeat, or at Big MUGGA. Those are my Instagrams. And let's get this money, family. Gang. We are going over my top 5 books. It's some sauce that I got for y'all personally. We're going to start that off with Think and Grow Rich. The Feeling is in the Secret. The Magic of Believing. The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Listen, man, y'all don't got to do what I do, but I am recommending y'all some great reads. Miraculous Day, Read, Remember, Repeat gang. This is a show we like to call Read, Remember, Repeat. This is a show where it's all about the books, and we pushing the books to the culture. My name is Michael Boy, a.k.a. MUGGA Boy. If you know me, you know. Yeah, man, we on 50 Cent Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter right now. We like halfway through the book. The book been amazing so far, crazy. Shout outs to 50. We looking for more readers, man. Anybody that want to read, you know what I mean, on their hobby time, somebody that understands reading, you know what I mean, and want to get it out there to help push to the culture. Hit me up, man. Let's get something going, man. Read, Remember, Repeat, at Big_MUGGA. Y'all know what's going on, man. But where we left off, let me jump right into it. Okay. By leaking my own music, I figured out a way around that. Those bootleggers became my own personal distribution network. As long as there was a demand, they were going to keep making copies and getting my music and my name out there. I'm confident that the success of my bootleg album is what helped get me on Eminem and Interscope's radar. I wasn't content sitting around hoping that someone would decide I was hot. I lit my own fire instead. By creating the perception that I was as hot as the major label artists of the day, I basically paved the way to becoming one myself. Act like you don't need it. Another technique you can employ to get something you want is to act like you don't actually need it. It's a technique that requires finesse, nuance, and unshakable confidence. Employ it correctly and it will get you real results. Suppose you go into an interview for a job you really desire. It's in your ideal field and pays much better than your current job. If you get it, not only will you be furthering your career, but you'll also be able to get out of the credit card debt that's been drowning you. Not to mention your commute will drop from 45 to 15 minutes. It's everything you've been looking for. When you sit down for your interview in your ironed outfit, of course, your instinct will be to express how enthusiastic you are about the position. You've already spent weeks fantasizing about what your life will be once you get that job. Now, you just want to spill all that energy out in front of the person who can actually give it to you. Do not succumb to the instinct. Do, however, express in no uncertain terms that you are interested in the job. Make it clear that in the event you accept it, you are confident you can not only meet but exceed expectations for the position. But do not ever give the impression that you need that job or that you are dying for it. Even if that's exactly what you're feeling, you must suppress that instinct because of this fundamental truth. Neediness is a turnoff to everyone except the most compassionate people. The vast majority of people are attracted to things they think they can't have. No matter what the setting, unattainable is the ultimate aphrodisiac. When you're looking for someone to invest time, money, or energy in, you can never let them think you're doing you a favor. They're doing you a favor. You must make them believe that the favor is actually coming from you. That by being brought into your orbit, they will be setting themselves up for a win. I became acutely aware of this phenomenon once I became successful. When I was struggling, no one wanted to give me a break. Now that I've made it, everyone wants to cut me in on a great deal or rare opportunities. If I go to an award show, I'll get a gift bag worth tens of thousands of dollars. Billionaires invite me to fly out on their private jets or stay in their luxury villas. Hedge fund managers give me investment tips. Everybody, it turns out, wants to do you a favor precisely when you don't need it. When you hear about successful people who are already doing great, getting 30K gift bags or free flights on private jets, it's easy to grumble. Man, the rich always get richer. But grumbling won't change your reality. What will change it is figuring out how to project the energy and confidence that will make people want to treat you in a similar way. One of the true magicians of the act like you don't need it strategy was the financier Bernie Madoff. He's the guy behind the Ponzi scheme that milked people out of over 64 billion. That's right, 64 billion. I'm not celebrating what Madoff did. He ruined a lot of vulnerable people and organizations and even contributed to his own son committing suicide. When I read about his story, I couldn't help but notice how masterful he was at employing an I don't need it mentality to get people to give him their money. In the simplest terms, Madoff's scheme worked like this. He would encourage people to invest with his firm, but instead of actually putting their money in the stock exchange, he put it into his personal bank account. Then he'd make up fake stock reports that showed his investors getting an incredible return on their money. He guessed correctly that as long as people saw their money growing at above market rates, they would keep it with him and let it ride. The only issue would be when people asked for their money back, since Madoff never actually invested the money, it would be impossible for him to cover those asks. The money wasn't in the account anymore. He already spent it on homes, cars, planes, all that good stuff in order to keep the scheme going. Madoff would have to constantly bring in new investors and keep the finances flowing because he needed as many new investors as possible to prevent his scheme from collapsing. You probably think Madoff would be very aggressive in going after potential targets, especially in cultivating the big money folks he met at galas and parties in Manhattan, Hollywood, and the Hamptons. You'd assume he'd be winning and dining them, gifting them front row seats at the sports events, flying them around on his jets, getting the guys, calls, girls, whatever he could do to get in their good graces. Nope, Madoff did the exact opposite. Whenever one of these deep-pocketed people approached him about investing with his firm, Madoff would turn them down. He would tell them his fund was full, that there was no possible way he could take on any new investors. Sorry, he just couldn't do business with them. That would drive these rich folks crazy. Remember, these were power brokers who were never told no. Instead of walking away, it made them want to work with Madoff even more. They became convinced that Madoff was sitting on a more lucrative situation than they'd originally thought. Let's say a rich guy offered to invest $5 million. when he first approached Madoff, a level of investment most managers like Madoff would jump at. After hearing no, the guy might come back to Madoff with an offer to up the investment to 10 million. Nobody says no to a 10 million investment, but Madoff would still act like he wasn't interested. The rich guy would be flipping his wig. He'd get pushy. He'd have their mutual friends call Madoff and lobby on his behalf. Instead of being courted, the guy would start courting Madoff. He'd be determined to get as much of their money to Madoff as possible because his attitude convinced them that he had to be some sort of mastermind. After all, who else would turn down all that money? Finally, only when the number got high enough for him, Madoff would pretend to give in. All right, fine, he might say. You can come in for 15 million, but don't tell anyone else I did this. It's just for you. Just like that, he'd take the guy to the cleaners. The guy might as well have said, Bernie, would you please steal my money? Madoff did this to very bright people. Hollywood directors, owners of professional baseball and football teams, actors and actresses. People who were extremely shrewd and successful in their own fields. None of that mattered. They all got finessed by someone who acted like he didn't need it. Madoff pulled this off in a high society, but I've seen it work in street situations too. On the street, people are used to constantly being asked for things. Yo, let me hold something. Or my man, can you spot me till next week? Folks are always on guard to make sure no one plays or gets over on them. People who understand this instinct can use it to their advantage. Let's say a con man bumps into one of his old homies at the bar and senses the opportunity to work some of his magic. First, he'd buy the guy a few rounds, top shelf, no well liquor, make it seem like money was no object. After a few, he might casually mention the Benz he had parked outside or the trip to Aruba he just took his girl on. All his energy and words would project the impression that he was operating out of abundance. The exact opposite of someone looking for a handout. Eventually, the guy's friend will want to know what's funding the lifestyle. The con man will reply very humbly, and he's doing well in real estate. He won't say much more and instead will push the conversation back to funny old stories. The time we took those girls to Coney Island or when the fight broke out in the park. The friend will remain fixated on the money though. Hey, what sort of real estate do you deal in? He'll eventually ask. That's when the con will make his move. Oh, it's complicated. Basically, I'm just flipping city-owned properties, he might say. Yeah, this thing right here I got going on is really great. I know some people in City Hall and they put me on to some serious opportunities, especially the new development I just got some money together for. I think it's gonna make a killer. The trap has been set and more often than not, the needy person will walk into it. Yo, my man, what's good? You gotta let me in on this. The con man will take another sip of his drink and pretend to mull it over. Look, because we've been peoples for a long time, if you want in, I can hook you up. But the absolute most I can let you put in for is 10,000. I'm sorry, but the rest of it is pretty much spoken for. I'm down. A friend will say and start to make arrangements to get the money together. And just like that, he's been had. The reason he fell for it so easily is because the con man acted like he don't want anything. If he had, say, yo, give me as much as you can, get your hands on, or had pressed his friend for a certain amount, that would have set off the alarm bells. By applying zero pressure, he was able to circumvent all his friend's security systems. The guy was so conditioned to people asking and pressing him for things that it never occurred to him to watch for the guy who wasn't asking for anything. Gang, more sauce, more sauce, more sauce. Read, remember, repeat. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And you already know it's your boy.
It's presidential, the outcome evident.
And make sure you guys are juicing, man. Make sure you're getting that 100% cold pressed juice at Rise Juice.
Some stories just isn't meant to. I'm loving this instrumental, ayy. I write my life down with a pencil, ayy. Never